Powered by Riverside.
Welcome to our next episode of the World's Beautiful Game podcast, coming to you a day after the U.S. men's national team's round of 16 exit. A lot of emotions. I think I'm kind of glad we didn't record yesterday, but as always, your host Goose and Will on the call. How you
Welcome
feeling,
to the
Will?
Great Depression or the Great Deception. I don't know.
I think both really go well with what the feelings are. I would say for me yesterday, tough night. I take all these games really hard when I watch them. I always have cautious optimism. Obviously, when I kind of watch these games, I hope for the best, and you just never know. With this U.S. team, what you're going to get. We kind of rode a big high at the beginning of the World Cup, but we'll get into it more a little later in this segment. That'll be the back half of the episode today, because we do want to talk a lot about some of the games that happened as well in the round of 16, round of 32, any of the games that are important. And, we'll talk to the ending of some international careers as well. Obviously, some big names that are no longer going to be around come the next World Cup cycle. So super, super big to talk about people that have been, I don't know if heroes is the word, but people, as
Sure,
football
I
fans
think
that,
they are I mean, because again, remember those countries, it's not like here, so they pretty much are heroes. So even if maybe they're just footballing heroes, but they're heroes to,
yeah,
because it's
heroes,
hope, it's inspiration, it's
yeah,
not just,
heroes in the world of sport, of course, not,
and maybe more, because some people, again, that, they've changed, like, for example, Cape Verde putting Cape Verde on the map. If it wasn't for this game, um, not that people didn't know, but a lot of people didn't know Cape Verde. I, for one, didn't. Um, and we follow the sport a lot, so the fact that we didn't even really see them
yeah,
until really the World Cup,
I
so
will say it. I think it'll make me really look more into the AFCON, because clearly in their qualifying, they obviously did really well. Not just them, but DR Congo also obviously putting on a
hmm
heck of a show during this
Sounds
World Cup.
yeah,
So
sure.
a lot of teams that really have shown, obviously they didn't make it through, but they really shown or shined this World Cup, and it was just nice to watch. I think so far. I know there's been a little bit of a letdown with some of the refereeing, which was not a big thing in the group stages, but has really kind of come to fruition here in the later rounds. But let's just quickly talk
Yeah,
through. So
jump
so
off the
yeah.
first
So
game.
I don't know, where do you want to start? You want to start with?
I would say just I guess the first in the round of 32 we can talk. I guess the biggest one. Well, I guess before I go into it, let me like quickly look to see if there's any other game in the round of 32 that we didn't talk about.
We
No, we
didn't
got
we didn't talk much about the
the
kind
second
of.
half. Well, we could go in order. I guess the Brazil Japan.
I mean, post we could go
No, we
after.
talked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just that everything after the U.S. Bosnia game. So I say we start with
well, just Portugal.
Portugal, Croatia, because there was some controversy there and how that one ended. Portugal obviously got through, and that was Modric's last game for Croatia. So one of those players that we were talking about at the start here, just a player that has, even till now is still really playing at the highest level. He's what, 40 years old. And you talk about just like longevity, player that the whole team was playing for, the same way that Argentina plays for Messi. They were celebrating him the round before or getting to the knockout stages. So that was a big sad loss, I think, for that team and for the fans of Croatia and anyone fans of Modric, obviously, because you want to see him go as deep as possible. So
Yeah,
that's the first one.
he's one of the guys that you can say hero, um, because what he's come from a war country as a kid. So pretty much what he's done for Croatia and for the people and to who know where he came from and everything, he's definitely he hit every top level to make it to Real Madrid, which is the biggest club in the world, whether you like them or not. But they're the
and
Galacticos, and
and super successful in
yeah,
his time
no,
there
yeah,
as well, of
yeah,
course.
exactly.
It,
So that game, well, you could start the game. I watched bits and pieces because I forgot. I don't remember why I didn't watch the full game. But yeah, the game was interesting, and I didn't really. Like I said, I caught bits and pieces. So you can definitely
no, I mean
explain to me.
my memory's a little foggy. There's just been so much that we've watched
Yeah,
over the time.
exactly.
But I just know that game had a little bit of controversy. Croatia was not happy with some of the calls in that game, so some controversy at the end there. But
And
Ronaldo
then
did
yeah, the
get
header. I
through
guess
to the next
we
round.
can talk about. I guess we could quickly talk about the header. People say if it wasn't for the technology or the technology that's a bit ridiculous that supposedly is hair follicles it touched, and that's why.
I,
Um,
yeah, I mean, how do you feel about that? Because I'm like hit. I could tell you I'm hit or miss on it because one
so
of
to me,
what
I feel like that's. And I was talking to somebody about work because he's from Guyana and he follows cricket a lot, and he's saying that they have that technology in the bats that pretty much when the ball goes and sometimes apparently he said the referee in that game he could be all the way on the other side so he can't really hear it. So they have that technology so that way, if the player on the opposing team heard it and the referee didn't, that's where they go to review like, hey, listen, this they hit, and that's where they go and they see if there was a movement, if they see that spike on the radar. So cool, which is perfect. That's awesome. That makes sense. But in in our game, I feel like that it's tough because sure, if you look at that technology and you see the hair follicle, but are you kidding? Like a hair follicle is not going to change the trajectory of a ball ever, right? If it brushes anybody's hair, it'll never change the trajectory. It won't do anything to the ball. Now, if it touches their head, sure, but hair follicles are not going to change that. So to me, I think it was a bit unfair, maybe a bit unjust. And, don't
well,
get me wrong. I was excited. I was excited because I wanted Portugal to go further. But I respect Croatia's game. So that was a hard. It's hard if you're obviously if you're unbiased in that one. To me, I didn't agree with the call with you having to go with a hair follicle. If you would have said, okay, cool, I didn't see it, and then after looking at the replay, you can see that it did bump his head like just ever so slightly that redirected. Cool, but hair, I don't know, man.
yeah, I'm on both sides of this for kind of the point that you just made about that cricket thing. So one of the things that I think is important is that the right call is made. With that said, there's obviously some caveats to this situation because I don't know if the right call was made. I get that the ball has, or at least there's a graph that shows a spike in that
Spike, yeah.
situation. Now, the controversy with that is like, how do we know it's from that situation that there's a spike?
Well,
Could it have been from anything else? And we just will never know whether or not that was actual from that specific moment in the game. So that's the part that sucks, right? Because if it did happen because I did see a video on how sensitive the ball is to something touching. Like even when the ball's rolling on the ground, it like flutters. Like it actually has
yeah.
like a sense. Like the sensor's really sensitive, or it really picks up touch, right? So the hair is part of the body, and it's a thing that happens it's in another sport. Let me finish it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
go
let you.
ahead and then yeah, I
So
got it.
so in other sports, hair is a part of the body, and for other weird reasons, it can be done. It can have an impact on the game. If it did touch enough to where the ball spiked, it's the correct call is the problem, right? So the same way that goal line technology, these offsides, the toes offside, like all that stuff is super accurate. And does it suck? Absolutely, because for margins like that, we've always argued that the offside rule kind of stupid, and for that to be part of the call, like it just doesn't work for the game, right? It should be. I kind of like Wenger's rule, like there should be some clear separation. In this instance, the thing that bothers me the most is that the eye test, like you said, in no camera angle is it apparent that it touches his hair or head. regardless of what the technology says, like it just doesn't pass the eye test, and that's what sucks the most. Is like if it looks like it would have cut a bigger chunk of the hair because he has a lot of hair, there's a chance that it makes a difference, and it could have potentially skewed the movement of the ball, right? All that stuff, but it just was not, as they say, clear and obvious enough to where that call should be made. But that's the problem, with technology. Is like if it did, and the ball's the only thing that catches that, it's a right call, right? And I think that's in the end where we kind of just like we can't say no because there's evidence that says it did happen. So that's my only.
So for me is saying when you talked about the goal line technology or the offside rule, right? Or you said the toe, cool, because a toe can change the game. But if a hand is offside, right, the hand does not change, right? That they say that the hand at that point is not considered offside because you can't with your
You
hand
can't score with your.
change
Yep.
exactly. You can't score with your hand. You can't score with your hair. I don't care what type of hair you have, you can't score with it because again,
Yeah, but I
it's
think
not going to, yeah.
but I think in
But
this case it's that one. It's a little different because the hair wouldn't score, right? It's just the
that's what I'm
matter that
saying.
it,
Like
it
the
touched.
hair can't change. The hair can't change the trajectory of the ball. The hair itself, it's not going to. I don't care what type of hair you have, unless you have dreadlocks that are gonna hit hair itself, right? If you put like a hair test and you put a hair and you shoot the ball to see if it's gonna divert it any way differently, hair itself, thin hair, right? Unless you have again like a freaking super bush, it's not going to,
Yeah,
thin
but
hair, thin follicles will not change the trajectory and affect the outcome. So for me, that's why it's the same as the hand. Now, again, if
here's
you see it, if the hair is obviously on the forehead and it does that, obviously because it's not the hair that's affecting it, it's the forehead that's changing it. But just loose hair, like, to me,
the
that's why
the
I
only
can't
thing
agree with
the
it.
only thing that I'll pick apart from that is that it's not about the changing of trajectory because that wasn't the case. It's just like if he touches it, the player was offsides and he receives the ball after that guy touches. So that's really the issue. The trajectory doesn't really matter. If there was a touch and the guy was offside, that's why they call offside. That and so that like I get what you're saying. If it would have been trajectory to goal and like that's a whole different conversation to be honest with you. Again, they
Yeah,
still probably
it's
would have
just,
called it, but
yeah,
that's the only thing. But anyway,
yeah. But
all,
we can
all
move
to
on.
say
But
all
controversial.
to say, yeah. I mean, Croatia sucks for
And
Croatia
it,
because
it sucks for
yeah,
Croatia, but you can't blame Portugal. Portugal did whatever they had to do, and you can't blame them. That's on the referee's
and
court. So you can't.
that was on a subbing out of Ronaldo too.
Yeah,
So it
exactly.
was a big
So
moment for Portugal at that time.
yeah, you can't be pissed off at exactly at Portugal. It wasn't their fault, and it's kudos to them. Obviously, you keep playing the game, and they won. So let's move on from that because it wasn't it was what it
Yeah.
was.
The only other game from that round of 32 that really mattered was the Argentina Cabo Verde game. Another game that this team, man, they came and they surprised. They fought to the end. The golazo from I forget his name now, but outside the box, top bins, goalie had no chance, and you thought for a
Yeah,
second
from
like,
Cabral,
wow,
right? Cabral, the
huh?
103 minute,
Uh, uh,
100 Cabral,
Cabral, yeah,
103rd minute.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Cabral, yeah. Insane, a guy that's playing, I believe, in Turkey, Transbanspor, I think is where he's playing. Uh, insane,
Trabzonspor. Yeah.
just insane, and it wasn't just that. The free kick he took where he almost scored, Dibu had to make an amazing save for
Mm.
that one, and Argentina was put on the ropes, and
I don't remember if
um,
we talked about that game or not. If it was that, was it before
no,
the
because
U.S.?
we talked the U.S. And that happened
Yeah,
after the U.S. game.
did it? Okay.
No, yeah,
But yeah,
it's
no,
just
that game
our
was
group chat.
absolutely phenomenal. No, for sure, that's a great game to talk about too. I just
And
yeah, I thought we had. Oh yeah,
my thoughts on that game, and this is gonna lead in eventually into our conversation in the later half of this episode. But just the heart, the fight, the never give up attitude, going toe to toe with the world champions against Messi. Messi at one point was shaking his head because he just couldn't believe that they couldn't put this team down. Insane the inspiration that these players provided their people, not just their people, but all those people that are watching
just the
soccer for the
world.
first
Anybody,
time.
I think every single person maybe Argentina was the only one that wasn't a fan of Cape Verde because obviously they're playing against them. But I don't think they were like they
I
didn't hate
think
them. It's
I
just
think
obviously it's their
I
team,
think
you
even
know.
that game, those fans were probably
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah,
"Wow,"
absolutely. It's
you know what I
it,
mean?
it's Cape Verde like is the team of the tournament. I don't care what happened. The fact that they were pretty much counted out from the beginning, and it goes back to I forget who said it from European player or European coach or whatever it was that said that all these extra teams in the tournament it just makes it for a worse. And pretty much
I think a lot of people said that, to
they
be
shut
honest
them
with
up.
you.
Yeah. Well, whoever said it, you know, pretty much Cabo Verde is like here, take this because it was a beautiful display. It was it was great. If you see the backstory of some of the players, beautiful to see some guy that pretty much some kid. He only a couple years, but he pretty much had to work a second job to eventually be able to get somewhere. And then he finally got a call up. And then one of the guys got a call up from LinkedIn.
That was
And
Pico Lopez, yeah.
yeah, Pico,
He's
yeah, he
He's
ignored him for
Irish.
9 months. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
he
Irish.
ignored him
Yeah.
for 9 months. I guess he thought it was not well because he couldn't understand it.
He no, he said he's like, I thought it was spam because it's a different language.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a different language exactly. So, but it was exactly the story for them to come together and to be able to perform and to give the defending world champs because it's not over. So as of right now, they're still the champions. To give them a fight to the end that almost, push them to penalties, which it could have been anybody's game. And Vosinha at that point would have been not that Dibu was no slouch, but obviously that would have been a big
Keeper of the
push. So
tournament.
yeah, for me, Vosinha, absolutely. I mean, all the African goalkeepers, um, for most of the African goalkeepers have been phenomenal in this tournament, and which, even today's game. But it was, yeah, that was even more exciting game than the Portugal game because
Absolutely.
Portugal's was more controversial, but the fact that they put the defending champions when ranked FIFA number 1 versus number 67, like FIFA
It was
ranking
David
is
versus Goliath.
yeah,
Literally David versus
absolutely, and
Goliath. Yeah.
and yeah, so it was sad to see them lose. I wanted them to beat Argentina.
I wanted them to at
Um,
least get to pens and give Vozinha a chance
yeah,
to
oh
be a
yeah, yeah,
hero
yeah,
that he's
yeah,
been this whole World Cup, right? That
yeah,
was kind of just what you wanted. But just like a
absolutely.
lot of these games in the World Cup, another game that came down to the very end,
Oh, sure.
and
Argentina showed their experience because they didn't let down. They got tied up and they still said no. Hey, we're not going further than this. So, shout out to beautiful, beautiful, beautiful game. Um, The next one I quickly want to talk about, and it's on a bad note, Paraguay versus France. Just a classless effort by Paraguay. It it shows the lack of respect for the sport that you pretty much
I think
like
it
either that.
I think it shows why there's some disrespect from the other side of the world to the football on this side of the
To
world.
sometimes, yeah, because it was like okay, it was kind of again a David versus Goliath match. Obviously, France has been taking care of business, and Paraguay had no business being there, but they made it. So no disrespect to them because they did what they had to get there. So if you're gonna lose, lose with respect. If you get outplayed and you get beat 5-0, that's fine because you did everything you could. You just didn't have it there. But the fact that you're just gonna be as disrespectful and just try to go hurt and that's not why you play the sport. And you're on a global level watching this, and it's just disgraceful and pathetic. And yeah, it's ultimately just again just people were pissed off at Mbappe for what he did at the end of the game. I would have done that times 10. You know what I mean? I have no issue with what he did because what they were trying to do, and you saw that they pretty much, it's kind of like when you're playing FIFA and you're pissed off and you're just trying to get red cards because you're going to lose the game. Like, that's just pathetic.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
sad.
Sunday league,
Unprofessional to the extreme.
unprofessional. Yeah,
Yeah.
super
So
amateur. Yeah,
that's all I really wanted to talk.
yeah. I think what sucks about that is that I was before when those quotes came out. I think when Germany beat when Paraguay beat
Hmm.
Germany, I
Exactly.
was defending them. I'm like, hey,
Same.
you
Yeah.
can't talk, you can't
Absolutely.
stop talking down on a team because you think they're not world class. Like,
Or you
show
say
some
that, yeah,
respect. Same way. And then
yeah.
in
You
this,
can't say
and
you're
I
world class and you lose to them.
yeah, and then for them for Paraguay to turn around
Do what they did.
and
Yeah.
mind you, like they kind of played the game of their lives because they frustrated the shit out of France,
Hmm.
and then you kind of you turn it into something that it shouldn't be, and and I know that some of South American football tends to kind of be a little more aggressive, tends to
which is
kind of
fine.
go, they
Cool.
kind of can go throat to throat
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
in that region, right? Because that's the football that is
yeah.
played there, which
Which
is
rough
not a
football is
terrible
fine.
thing.
Yeah.
I think some aggressiveness is fine,
There's a
but to
difference
see just
between
but
rough
just to
and
see
dirty,
some
though.
just to see like the elbow to the ribs and
Yeah.
just like
To the
the
face. There's just a
yeah.
lot of it. Just again, there's a difference between rough and dirty. And every now and then, if you need to get a little dirty,
I
because
mean,
it's
mind
just
games.
unwritten rules.
Yeah, you can
Sure, and
play
if you
some
need
mind
to
games, pinch
little
somebody in the
chippy,
ribs, like
yeah, piss them off,
yeah,
cool. But it was just
it was a
it
little
was
much.
lack of professionalism. You're at a world stage. You expect more from them. So that was just yeah, it was just
At that point, to me, like if that's the game you're gonna play, go in for an aggressive ass tackle if you want to prove a point. Like
hmm
that's what that's in the
scare
game
'em,
for.
exactly.
You can do that.
Yeah, but
But
to
yeah,
try to
no,
hide
but
chippy
yeah.
and
So
disgusting, yeah, just
good
yeah.
on France to kind of also stand up and tell
Stay
them what they
professional,
think about it too. Yeah,
stay professional, and not get carded
I think
because
they had the right response in what happened to them, and I saw friends talking about appealing the yellow card for Elise, which was bullshit. But I hope that that's not going to continue now the rest of the World Cup.
yeah,
But
obviously, yeah, which we can, yeah.
all
But
right, now
moving on,
let's move on.
two games
So
after.
I'm not going to talk too much. I don't want to talk too much about Canada because they
No,
lost,
no, yeah,
and
we don't need to. We're on to the next round. We don't need to
obviously
talk about it.
them. No, yeah, no, round of 16. So um, Canada loses to Morocco. I
Oh, if
think
you
that's
want to
a
talk to
result
that.
that everybody expected. So nothing
hmm
crazy there.
Jesse
Um,
Marsh's comments were just dumb,
yeah.
saying that he thought they should have won. Come
I
on,
mean,
it
I
was
understand him talking about that they went for it and they were playing the football that people want to see, but at the same
sure,
time,
but
this is
to
a
say that
tournament,
he
and
thinks that they deserve to win, like, come
yeah,
on, get real.
this is a
Come on.
tournament where you got to put in a game plan to win the game, and Morocco won
Yeah,
the game. So regardless of
oh,
what Canada
absolutely.
did, I know he's just trying to stand up for his guys and just kind of motivate them and kind of
I
keep
get
their
him,
heads
but
high. But
there's just
it was a
comments that are
weird
just
comment to make.
dumb
Yeah.
comments. Yeah, like come on now.
Then the game up next up,
Round of
which
16.
yeah, it's still round. Yeah, this was round
No, no,
16.
that was round 32. No,
No, it's 16. No, it's 16.
I was already 16. You're
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that Paraguay France is round 16 also.
yeah, yeah.
So Norway Brazil next up. So obviously we
Good
gotta.
lord, man, that was my team. Obviously, other than US, I've been a Brazil
I'm gonna
fan, and
you talk to the Brazil. I'll talk to the
yeah,
Norway.
exactly.
So you know, in our group chat, we are constantly talking about these games. We basically are watching them together, even though we're not.
Football is life.
Um, a lot. As we're going through the game, we're seeing the action happen or lack of action, and we're seeing certain things from Brazil that it just. I said, there's opportunities in games where you have to be clinical, especially in a tournament like this, a World Cup, because if you don't, the other team's going to punish you. Norway was patient. Norway played their game. They
Good
possessed
lord,
the ball
watching
better.
Haaland off the ball.
Not just that, but
No,
Odegaard
but
just like
no, but did you
running
see
the game.
Haaland
Oh
just
yeah,
towards the goals? He literally was walking while as they were counterattacking. He's still just like,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
and see Berg, who apparently wasn't a starter before, took the role.
The
Berg,
keeper
like
too. He wasn't a starter too, right?
yeah, Nealand is 40 years old. He's not even he's out
Oh,
of a
really?
contract.
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
I think he's
Wow.
another or older, but he's out of a
But yeah,
contract.
yeah. Wow, I didn't know that.
Obviously saves the pen. On a
Everything, man.
one on one with Endrick, just was there, made himself big. There was a couple other saves that
Thor.
he made. So, and then one thing that I said was when you are in a position like this and you have a player like Holland, that guy only needs one, two, three opportunities, and he's gonna bury them.
And he's
And
always said it too.
sure enough, he was like non-existent in a good portion, like 60 minutes of that game. Not to say that
They
he
held him
wasn't
off pretty
running.
well. No? They just held him off.
The defense obviously, did what they could, but in a one header goal, ball outside the box, which he doesn't do often, bottom right corner, game over.
Mm-hmm.
He literally did what his job is to do, what he does at Man City. That man is just a goal machine. He took the game and he said, "This is ours." They were playing. He said it after the game. We're playing with no pressure. We don't have the history of Brazil. This is a World Cup that we're just 28 years in the making. This is my first ever World Cup. It's like I don't feel any pressure, and you can see that from him, his team. Like they
Yeah,
play
yeah.
really well, like from back to front. like I know it's a team that can give up goals, but like you see them pushing. Odegaard moves the ball around, they get it around, and they find that man, and that man puts the ball in the back of the net. So that's what I have to say for Norway. But a team that no one, well, let me not say no one, a team I think that everyone considered a dark horse and that could really go far in this tournament. But man, they're looking like they can go really far in this tournament after
They're
watching what they
looking
did.
mighty strong.
As we've said it on the pod, if I said in the pod, I never thought this Brazil team was as strong as people thought they were. Not having Rafinha probably hurt them a lot. But I'll let you now dissect Brazil and what that performance was.
Gladly, I might have to turn the light on because it's getting darker. But in the meantime, until it gets a little darker. Yes. So yeah, I get it. This Brazil is not the Brazil of old, absolutely, but they're still Brazil. Um,
There's Oro. I'll give you that.
It's tough because you can go from so many places, like where to begin. But it starts with, again, let's just start with the penalty. Again, that needs to be buried, no doubt about it. And if it's not buried, it needs to be at least a rifle because the placement is just absolutely terrible.
Step, disgusting, needs to be banned from the game.
Yeah, if people like exactly, but if people want to do it, you got to be absolutely 100% sure that keeper is literally barely getting to it, and it was just absolutely terrible. But the whole game, they just weren't clinical. And the Brazil of old, that's the thing. Defensively, were gonna give up goals, but they were always gonna score more goals than you. So that's the number one thing, that they can't score goals. Vinny played his ass off. Whether you hate Vinny or not, whether you're a Barca fan and you hate him because he's a Madrid, doesn't matter because Vinny was Brazil. People were talking about Casemiro, how he was terrible. And it's just like, I don't think you watch the game. I think you just watch for errors or mistakes that happen, because the game before that, where defensively in the midfield he wasn't great, cool, but it takes a full performance. And what did he do? He came up and he scored a beautiful header. It's like, all right, cool, I screwed up, but I'm not gonna stop. So sure, again, defensively he was a liability because he's got no more legs, especially for the young guys. But what did he do? He still performed. And then this following game, he put in like 3 quality balls and nobody was getting to. How is that his fault? So again, Martinelli was not clinical. Ryan wasn't doing anything. So obviously he was Rafinha's fill-in, which are big shoes to fill. Then you have Endrick, who is supposed to be the wonder kid, and then Vinny puts in a perfect ball with the keeper. You're supposed to bury that.
Fantastic ball too.
And Endrick is one of the few pure out strikers as of now, because he's not a winger. He's supposed to be a striker. And then it's a flashback to 2002 when Ronaldo had the breakaway. He step overs 47 times beautifully, leaves the goalkeeper on the ground, broken legs, and puts it away. So it's just like that. Like, if they can play, if you do it right now and you throw an AI, it's a flashback. Boom, boom. What happened? Garbage.
You think that's ingrained in their souls, right? Like,
especially as a striker.
That moment as a Brazilian player with that shirt on, knowing like what your country has done before, what those teams were, what that striker was, because that is the most lethal striker to ever exist.
It's not even him, because think about it, they have freaking loads: Romario, Bebeto, Adriano, like Ronaldo, obviously. And then you have all these strikers before you that you can watch videos nowadays. You can watch everything.
But I'm just thinking to like that moment that you're talking about, because as you say it, I'm like flashing back in my head. Yeah,
I remember when we were freaking waking up at 4 a.m. to watch those games in Japan and Korea.
Yeah, Europe. We were doing it before you were.
Yeah, exactly. So stop crying, because you're doing midnight. We were freaking 4 a.m. But yeah, so it's just they I don't feel like I feel like they lost the game. Like, not necessarily that Norway won.
I'll throw a question at you too then. Well, I don't know. I don't want to go that far. But yes, in a way, I will say, because Norway did finish their opportunities, so you can't say they didn't win the game also.
No, but it's not to say disrespect the fact that, because again, if they put away 2, cool. Well, Brazil put away 3. So that's what I mean. I know it sounds And it's not in any way disrespectful to Norway whatsoever. But obviously, if Brazil put away those opportunities, it's a completely different game. For one, the penalty you put away, and for one, that goal that you score, it kind of deflates Norway, and maybe it changes up the play, the game, the style of play, the
Yeah,
gameplay,
that's for sure.
and you know what I mean. So that's what I mean. Because no disrespect to Norway, I love Norway. I love what they're doing, and obviously it hurts me because I'm a huge Brazil fan forever. So that's always my second team other than the USA. I always go for Brazil. So it hurt for them to lose, but yeah, no disrespect to Norway. They deserved the victory because they outlasted those missed opportunities by Brazil and they capitalized, which is what Holland's always said. Holland's always said, I don't, if I get one touch, that's all I need to score a goal. I don't need to do. He pretty much says he's not going to do anything fancy. He doesn't need to do step overs, and that's not his style of play, which is a lot of time kind of when Alexi, which I hate, obviously, yeah, Alexi, everybody knows. But when he said, "Oh, who's better, Zlatan or Ibra?" and when he was talking about it, yeah, Zlatan's a completely different player. That's not who Holland tries to be. Holland just wants to touch it and shoot and score. That's it. He doesn't need to do anything else. Which obviously you saw what happened.
My one question to you that I have that I meant to ask was how much. I know that a lot of this is the players' fault. They're the ones playing the game. They're the ones that need to finish what's in front of them. But how much of this do you put on Ancelotti? Because this Brazil team sat back for the majority of that game. We're not
Yeah,
out and
same
out
against
attacking.
Morocco. Same
We're
against
not.
Morocco.
We're not out and
Yeah,
out attacking Norway. Norway gives up goals, so
yeah,
there was an opportunity there. Was
yeah.
it
I
too
think
much fear from Ancelotti? Like,
I think
should he have
so.
how much blame does he get?
I put blame on him as well because yeah, defensively they're not pushing, they're not pressing on them. They were letting Norway and just like they did against Morocco have too much possession when it should have been the other way around. It should have been Brazil that's always dominated and controlled the game. Um, so yeah, you absolutely got to put pressure on Ancelotti. Obviously, he's a great coach, but whatever he was doing and to have them sit back or if that wasn't his game plan, they weren't listening to him, then obviously something was broken in between. But if that most likely was his game plan to kind of sit and counter or whatever it was terrible because that's not Brazil. And I didn't even get to talk about the defense, obviously, because Gabriel giving up, you fall asleep, and that's a rival from a league that you play in. So it's not like you haven't seen him before, and it's just like, oh, I didn't think about it. He does it to you every time he plays
He
you.
straight dunked on him, and that's what happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. So like again, you fall asleep there. But again, it just goes back to the same thing. The wide backs are not not anywhere close. You don't obviously it's hard to compare because obviously those guys are gone. They're not there anymore. But you would think that these guys, this is who they look up to. Dani Alves, Marcelo, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, the list goes on. Maicon, you just have endless that guys that went forward and came back. Some, less than others coming back, but again, they were dangerous. And at this point, that's it. Brazil doesn't have any of that. So it was heartbreaking to
Brazil
see
is just history now.
Neymar, one of the last of the Joga Bonito players. Obviously he came
It
in,
dies
he
with
really
him.
couldn't do much. Yeah, he
It
couldn't do
died with
much.
him. He got his
You know,
goal to score another World Cup,
yeah, because
and
Vinny probably has the skill, but he doesn't play that way because I guess that's how they're trained now, which is terrible. But yeah, so it does because yeah, Vinny is good. I mean, he showed it, but he's not Joga Bonito. It's not that old style, that Brazilian style, the flair. He's not. I mean, he shows it here and there, but it's not the old. It's not anywhere close. So yeah, sad to see Neymar go. Such a great what if player, because
not
he
com-
wasn't the
not
level. He wasn't the level,
not completely what if because he did win his fair share with was
but
it,
he wasn't the
he
main player in
he
Messi,
never became a
Neymar, Suarez,
Messi Ronaldo in terms of how
Ronaldinho.
much
Ronaldinho. I mean,
individual. Yeah.
he was the next Ronaldinho, and he never became Ronaldinho because Brazilians they have their 4 or 5 years and then decline for the most part. So he didn't have that peak as far as him being the guy, right? Because in the Messi, Suarez, Neymar team, he wasn't the guy. Obviously, Messi was. And then when Messi left, it was his chance to, and he didn't. He wasn't that. So, but again, he was the last of the Jogo
Well,
Bonito.
he left first for PSG, and then
Well, yeah, but again,
And
he
even
couldn't
at
do anything.
PSG, he didn't
Exactly,
become what
he
he should
wasn't
have
the
been.
guy. So, but yeah,
And
so that was
that's number two for legends that are retiring.
yeah,
And
yeah,
obviously, not that they'll ever hear our podcast, but just a thank you, right? Because
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
players we grew up with, idolizing, and really helping us fall in love with the beautiful game, of course. And it's just it's kind of sad, right? And you know,
Yeah, it is.
it's incredible. 20 years. A lot of these guys are around. Neymar a little less because he got
Yeah,
himself
yeah,
injured quite a
but
bit, but
injured, but he's
yeah, because he's
still
only
again.
34.
You
He's
saw the
younger. He's
ovation.
younger
You
than
saw
we
the
are.
ovation
Yeah,
the
of
moment he
course.
came on. It
Yeah,
was just like he was like
he
it's like
shouldn't have even been there to be honest. But
no,
just for the
but
name
he
and the
needed to though.
status.
He shouldn't
Yeah,
have been there, but he needed to be there because again, obviously he
I
won't be
only
the
say it
next one.
because clearly Brazil was missing something else, and they
I
just.
mean, but again, it's just the injuries. Rafinha, obviously, Rafinha pushing instead of Ryan.
But the
Again, I'm not trying to knock Ryan.
João Pedro should have been there, and he
Yeah,
wasn't. You
obviously
know.
Igor Thiago shouldn't have been there because he played in one game. He was like, "That's not good enough," and you're gone. So if you pretty much were iffy on him, why
Yeah,
take him?
Ancelotti made some rough choices there that
Yeah,
really put Brazil behind the eight
because
ball.
he had a bad
So
game, and then it was just like, all right, goodbye. You're never playing again, pretty much. So, but yeah, that's that's my say with my team, my other team.
I'm going to talk
We
about
can talk
this
about the
one
next one.
before we go to the next one, only because this game was a stinker. Portugal, Spain.
Oh,
Um,
you want to talk about it?
I mean, the only thing I'm going to talk about is obviously it is Ronaldo's now last game
Oh, it was
as
round of
they
16. You're right.
yeah
You're right.
so
Round of
so
16.
so
You're
they
right.
so they
No.
did lose. They did lose in the end on a Marino goal. Just Portugal just didn't bring it. Like neither one of these teams convinced me. I've said it from the beginning, and I know that Spain is on like a seven, however many games they're in. They haven't given up a goal, but man, going forward, they just Yamal hasn't done enough. They haven't gotten enough from the strike. Oh yeah, Saval had the one game, but besides that, we really haven't seen Spain be like what everyone expects them to be, like the favorite to win, one of the favorites to win the World Cup. Are they on the path there? Sure, because they've at least been defensively sound. But I think this was more Portugal's loss than Spain's win. Like that
Yeah.
midfield
Well,
for
actually, yeah, we have a lot to talk about this one too because there's a lot to dissect. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. The other one is just because there was
No,
more
I
to it.
forgot that this was obviously the knockout for
Um,
knock Portugal's knockout,
and
which we need to
my
talk
my
about.
thoughts on it because I really I don't want to say much because Portugal
I
was
do.
my
I
favorite.
have yeah, I have some things to say.
Portugal
Yeah,
was my favorite to win the tournament.
yeah, they
That
lost me some
Bruno,
money last week.
Vitinha, and João Neves midfield should have really been something that was incredible to see. But
Hmm.
they were those those lights that you dim, like they were in the lowest possible setting for this game, and
They were
all the
like
games. Uzbekistan was the only one, and
like
it
Milli
just
Vanilli,
it was so
fake.
it was like what like they say watching paint dry, like it was so boring, so just not what you expect, not what I expected to see from this team,
They
from
were like
players that have back to back Champions League winners. Bruno Fernandes, who played like the player of the year.
they were like Bebe signing for United. It's like, oh
It
yeah,
was
and
just
then
so poor,
what?
and um, I don't want to put I'm not gonna put it all on Ronaldo. I'm not a
It's
Ronaldo
not even
hater.
close.
No, yeah,
Yeah, it's not even close on Ronaldo.
I'm not a Ronaldo hater. Well, do I agree with some of the things that some people have said about him? Maybe thinking about stepping aside at times and giving Gonzalo Ramos the opportunity to play up top, and maybe him coming as a super sub. Should that maybe have happened? Probably. But Roberto Martinez didn't seem him. I don't know how that dynamic worked, but he just seemed keen to make Ronaldo the thing that got them to the end, and it just I think it backfired.
Yeah, I mean, so what I have to say, yeah, that's the number one thing to talk about. That people are quick to blame Ronaldo because you know because of what Messi's doing, right? Which is just dumb, and especially because Portugal's team on paper is way better than Argentina's team. So again, what you touched about, two Champions League winner, a Premier League player of the year winner.
Three Champions League winners. Nuno Mendes.
Oh yes, yes. Well, I'm in the midfield. Um, so you have two Champions League winners in the midfield and a Premier League Player of the Year. So the best player in the Premier League, which is arguably the best league in the world. So you have those three. You literally those are three Ferraris that are supposed to be Ferraris, and they had Honda Civic engine. So they did absolutely nothing. They were not creative. And I've watched the play. They're like, oh, it's Ronaldo. They say it's Ronaldo's fault. You see him make beautiful runs. They never look to pass him the ball. So if you're that quality and that class of a midfielder, you spot that and you place it and you put it. Vitinha, we saw in the Champions League, the balls that he was putting were ridiculous. Yes, no, I know, but Vitinha in the Champions League, again, which is because Bruno in the Premier League, but the Champions League is the best of the best. So you see him put that against other teams, and it's just like, where the hell was that? And then João Neves, other than the goals that he scored, he wasn't really creative. He wasn't doing anything. Vitinha was playing backwards. Bruno, the same thing, showed no creativity. So people want to put the blame on Ronaldo because he couldn't do anything. What did you want the man to do? Grab the ball from the middle, play everybody like he played for when he was playing for United or Real Madrid. So it was just absolutely ridiculous. Nuno Mendes had a phenomenal game in Spain, until he got hurt. But what do you want?
I think that's one of the reasons why Portugal lost their
because
kind
when
of
he came in, like
threat.
you said, Semedo was a defensive liability. He has pace and everything to try to keep up.
João Felix had to drop and defend, and then
João
he got
Felix
tired
had
and
a
had to take him out.
game.
Yeah.
João Felix had a phenomenal game, but again, he was doing more than what he's supposed to do because that's not what he was in there to do.
He went back to his Atletico Madrid days and just
it was
hunker down.
Absolutely abysmal performance. So anybody to say it's Ronaldo's fault, what was he doing there? Yeah, again, should Ramos have played, and then they mixed it. But it's kind of like Roberto Martinez said, I have my best striker out there. How am I going to take him out if I'm supposed to put in the best striker when we're down? And yeah, like again, he just wasn't given good opportunities. I don't know if it was pretty much, Brazil's like, maybe a fuck you to him, because pretty much I feel like they treated Ronaldo the way that Messi was treated before this coach came in. Because before this coach came in, nobody played through Messi, right? The Argentinians hated Messi. It's just like, now that everybody
to the point where my man retired and
everybody's kissing his ass, right? They're like, oh, he's got it. We love Messi, right? But go rewind a couple of years ago, everybody in Argentina hated Messi. You're garbage, stop coming back. What are you doing? Absolutely, is the hate that they had for this man. And again, you saw it. Obviously, Messi's Messi, but you can only do so much if the players around you don't, are being what they're being. So I feel like that's exactly what Portugal did. Why? I don't know. You gotta respect the man, whether you like Ronaldo or not. What he did for Portugal, nobody else has done. He won them a Euro. He won them tournaments. He won them cups. Before Ronaldo showed up, Portugal had absolutely no champions, no trophies. So what he did for the team, you got to respect him. And if he's going to go out and like he says, he's, what he said, and you got to take his word for it. You can't, people will be like, maybe not, but he doesn't say that, he wasn't playing because he's just trying to either
stay longer
show off to somebody or something.
Yeah.
It's just he loves the game. He loves the game, and he's still obviously doesn't matter his age. He is fit for most. He doesn't show fatigue. He doesn't show, and he still has the intelligence. When you're old, obviously you lose your legs, and they're not the same that they used to be.
I hope he comes to
gameplay
to the MLS because I think after the hype of the World Cup, if he was to come over this, I don't know what his contract situation is or how much.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he'll be able to. But
I just think it would be great to be able to see him in a game here. Right, that'd be cool. Yeah. I will say to close out this game. I mentioned it the moment I saw Marino on the sideline coming in to be subbed in. I said, this guy is the threat that Spain has coming in because he did it so much for Arsenal for half of the season. And sure as shit, that's the guy that wins them the game. So
yeah, no, I mean, they missed opportunities. Portugal definitely missed goal opportunities. They had a couple of shots straight at the keeper, soft opportunities. So Portugal lost. Yeah, Portugal lost the game more so than Spain won the game. Spain didn't look anything special, which people are hyping them up. They didn't, I know it is a rivalry match, so I guess they do play differently.
Yamal so still to show up. The new prince.
Yeah, everybody was talking about how, there's people saying how, Jamal, that's why, he's not feared right now. So again, he's young. The kid is good. I don't like his attitude. But he is good right now. Obviously, he's not doing anything. But Spain, if they are going to play this next game, and I mean, it's Belgium,
They'll need him.
which,
They're gonna need Nico Williams to get healthy to play because I think if they
yeah,
have both, they can be a threat at
yeah.
that point. But right now,
But what they showed, it
it
wasn't
just it
anything.
just
So
looks like stale bread. To be honest with you,
yeah,
that's what it
yeah,
feels like watching that team.
yeah.
All right, so
And
let's move on to our rivals from the south that were the other host nation in this round of 16. Since all three did make it to the round of 16, um, what uh, what a game! England, Mexico, late game, so much drama, so much happened, red cards, goal fest,
penalties.
penalties, just anything you can think of. Like it, Mexico just going for it with what 40, 35 minutes of just giving it to England, trying to get back into the game, showing a lot of fight, doing something that anyone can respect because they but to start off, they used the home crowd to their advantage. They got kind of shut down really quick of Bellingham getting two quick goals, and that dude was a monster. Bellingham obviously
That's what I've
came,
been waiting for, right?
yeah,
Waiting for Bellingham to show up,
but
and he showed up.
he shut up all his critics in England
Oh,
who have been
sure.
talking him down. That he's not.
Yeah.
I think he really was just or has been injured and really hasn't
It's
been a
just,
100%.
well, Real Madrid as a whole had an abysmal season because I think there's just no control in that team. Because look at all the players. Look at Mbappe, Vinny, Bellingham. Look what they're doing at the World
I
Cup.
mean,
Obviously,
Ibrahim Diaz at Morocco, getting some
yeah,
assists there
exactly.
too.
So all these players for Madrid that had an abysmal season. So that's why everybody came in with the, hey, Bellingham, he's useless or he's overrated. Vinny overrated. Mbappe, he can't do anything. Look what they're all doing. So
Remind
look
me
what they've all
again.
done.
This is like the vibe that the Galacticos had, right? When they had all those big names and couldn't win,
No, 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 the Galacticos didn't hate or didn't have it again. It's just the Galacticos
but they
just,
couldn't
I don't know,
win.
it's just partying. Yeah, it's just,
Yes,
it's just,
that's what I mean. Like it's kind of
I
it
think it's
has a
just too
little
much
bit of a
star power. Yeah, too much
yeah
star power,
yeah.
which, there was nobody that they can go to
But this is
except
kind of
for
what it feels like when you think about this
a
Real
little bit
Madrid.
right now
Yeah.
but it's more so because of the chemistry
Well,
that's
I'm
out
just
there.
saying because, like you mentioned, everyone is having a phenomenal World Cup. They're all doing really great for their
Hmm.
teams.
Yeah,
So it's interesting to see that dynamic club to country,
yeah,
how much different
yeah.
it is.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah,
And it goes to kind of begs the question of that Spain didn't take any Madrid players, and the Madrid players are the ones performing. The Barca players haven't been great. So um, yeah, so that's a question. But yeah, moving on with this game. Yeah, Bellingham two quick goals set the tone for this game. Um, obviously, being rivals, I was excited to talk trash, to see Mexico go out and with Adrian, I had him hyped up and he was going
I
off
know
and
he liked my
yeah.
post that I put yesterday.
Oh, I had a whole I sent the messages. Um, but what I said is, yeah, and we said it from the beginning, Mexico is not a good team. They're average, and when they play a real team, they're gonna lose. But and I hate, and it hurts my soul. But they gave a hell of a performance. Questionable. I don't think the penalty should have been given because the same thing where they said Harry Kane was already in shooting motion and he put his foot there. So what can you do? But again, not Mexico's fault. That's the call they gave. The red card, I was in the shower, so I didn't because I thought it was halftime and I took a little longer, so I didn't see the red card
So I
with
did.
Kwanzaa.
Let
Yeah,
me.
which go
So
ahead because I didn't see that part. I don't
so
know. I didn't even watch the replay. I didn't.
that one is so tough because as a defender, he's making a play on the ball. As he goes to make the play, it's a hard challenge. He's going studs up, but the biggest problem from that was that his legs stayed above. He touched the ball, but instead of his foot kind of like going through the ball and just making contact with the ball, it kind of stays up on the ball, and his studs wind up like staying up high into that like mid calf of the Mexico player,
Well,
and
he
it's
went ball
just
first.
he did win ball first, but like it's the follow through. The follow through is what's bad, and because the rule is if you're endangering the opponent, which he does, regardless of intent, it's a red card. Like that's just there's no I can't like if the because similar to the conversation about the guy from Canada who got his leg broken. That wasn't intentional. That just happened. That definitely shouldn't have been.
A
But
terrible
this
fucking
one,
call. 5 game suspension, absolutely stupid. Absolutely
so this
stupid. But
one,
yeah.
the issue is just that he got unlucky. He got unlucky in the fact that his foot stayed up, bounced up off the ball, and it was just studs up right into the mid calf. It's just dangerous. Like, regardless of intent, like, it's a dangerous play. It just was unfortunate, and it's a red card. You can't, like, I'm the first.
No?
Come on, we're the first
Yeah,
to say, like,
obviously, yeah.
no, it's not. It's against
No,
Mexico. No
that's why,
way.
like, and obviously, like, when we talk about it, sometimes, yes, of course, certain games we're gonna talk to the heart, but not even, because I won't talk any game to the heart, because my football mind is gonna come out first. Even if it's my favorite team, like obviously we just talked about Brazil being one of my teams, I am not gonna say you didn't hear me say anything that it was unfair, that anything got screwed over, because no, because we're gonna talk football.
And
So
I can even
yeah,
quote you, Ian Wright from the Overlap podcast. They asked him outright, like, "Do you think it was a red?" Gary Neville, "Do you think it was a red?" He goes, "If it's the prem, it's a red." So, I mean, guys are telling
no,
you,
and
yeah, like,
especially now, especially today's age, because we're not in the early 2000s, which was the last of like the little bit hard hitting. So maybe then it would probably given a yellow. But yeah, today's game, and okay, cool. From what you say, I didn't see it. I'll see it after. But if that's what happened and it's a red, cool. We'll continue with the game, which is perfect. Okay, unfortunate, but again, Mexico still, again, I knew that they weren't going to have enough, but they almost did, because they had opportunities inside the box that they just swung and missed towards the end, where they're putting the ball in and they just couldn't get a shot off. Pickford.
my gripe with Mexico's game plan at the end, was, I think, Aguirre fucked up, was he took out Quiñones, and
Quinones, yeah,
he might have been tired, but like,
maybe.
England subbed in a guy that's 6'8" to battle
Yeah,
crosses. Like, you really
nine
think
foot 12. Yeah,
you're gonna beat that guy in the air? Like, it doesn't
yeah,
matter
no,
what ball you
yeah,
put in there.
no.
So they needed
Unless you put
players,
in
like,
Wemby.
even if your attack plan is, let's get crosses into the box to cause chaos, you still want those guys outside the box like Quiñones that can maybe take a step in, shoot,
Yeah,
because you saw what
change
he
it.
did. Yeah,
That man, that is the best, the funniest part. When we talk trash, and well, I've been talking trash. That is the best Colombian striker playing for Mexico, which I love it. I love that he had a great tournament. It's more of a smack in the mouth
yeah, because
for
he's gotten
whoever
smeared a lot.
disrespected
Yeah.
whoever disrespected him. And I like that he played well, because Mexicans would, if he would have played bad, then
They would have
they
destroyed him.
would
Yeah,
destroyed him,
yeah.
especially going racial, which is sad and pathetic. But and I don't care who says, that's what they would have done. But nobody could talk about him. He played a great game. He played great. He had a phenomenal, definitely Mexico's top two easily. I mean, maybe Jimenez maybe was better. But or if not, Quinones was definitely the guy. So to take him out is like, if they would have taken out Harry Kane when the moments mattered. Um,
And I will say, to me, this game was one of the top games of the tournament based
yeah,
on how that
absolutely.
turned out.
The atmosphere, obviously the Azteca with the air. So for England to kind of show up and play their game, but Mexico fight to
I
the
think
very end. Uh,
and this is a point I'm going to make, because I think it's important to our conversation that we're going to have to end this pod,
mhm.
is just the effort, the heart, same like Cape Verde, Cabo Verde, just so much intensity, so much want to win, so much making your country proud, and for people to say, my team gave it all
Yeah,
to close
absolutely.
out and unfortunately lose, but they
They
gave
lost.
it
They
whatever
lost
they
to a
could.
better team,
Yeah,
which you can't be upset at that. You lost to a better team, um, but
with the man
exactly
up, and you had the advantage
you
for a
did
long time.
everything you could, and you made it close, because they almost tied the game a couple times right towards the end. So, bravo. It hurts my soul to say it, but it was a phenomenal performance,
It was
and
one of those
yeah,
games that was
they
worth
yeah
staying up
they
for. You're,
left everything on the table.
you're gonna
Yeah,
remember this game for a long time.
yeah,
This World Cup
absolutely.
has been a lot of
Yeah.
moments for a lot of games that you're gonna remember
Yeah,
for a
and
long time.
another legend send off Ochoa, World Cup legend, because he
6 World
obviously,
Cups.
yeah, 6 World Cups. He obviously wasn't going to play this one, because he
You got one
wasn't,
game.
he had one, but what he has done previous World Cups. He made himself look like one of the best goalkeepers ever, especially in a World Cup performances.
Yeah,
World Cup to
even
World
if
Cup.
he
So
didn't show up for his club team, my man showed up for the national team.
exactly,
So
yeah,
yeah,
he's James Rodriguez at the time. But James hasn't done anything either. But James, previous World Cups, yeah, it's like when he shows up, when he puts on that national jersey, everybody's gonna be proud of that man. So Ochoa, yeah, another send off. Um, yeah, kudos to Mexico again. You'll never hear me say this probably ever again. So, but yeah, respect you. You gave it all. You did what you were supposed to do. You almost had a chance, and you lost to a better team. And there's no shame
you
in
lost to
that
the
because
best, one of the best strikers in the world,
yeah,
if not
no,
the
and
best player in the
exactly.
world. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, but it was a valiant effort. You can be proud, and nothing. You
And
can't.
also,
I can't. As much shit as I want to talk, I can't.
and just a quick mention: Jordan Henderson breaking his wrist right after the game in celebration. I don't want to.
Good
I don't want
lord.
to laugh, but man, that is
I'm
so
not trying to laugh at
unfortunate.
this. It's just like you get a yellow card because of what you're doing on the field, and
On the
then
sideline, yeah.
and it's just on the sideline. Sorry, yeah, because obviously he wasn't gonna play. Um, and then yeah, you break it. Yeah, and obviously I don't mean to laugh at anybody's misfortunes because that's very unfortunate. But he shouldn't even be there. Carson Palmer should be there.
Phil
Why is Jordan
Foden,
Henderson there?
anyone.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few players, but again, yeah. So, but obviously unfortunate. He's out for the tournament now.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
was ugly too. I think he broke his wrist in
I
half.
saw.
It's
No,
just
yeah, you
crazy.
saw. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Again, the only reason I laughed is because I saw him trip, but it wasn't. Obviously, the aftermath was not
I
funny.
couldn't. I
Um,
just saw once and I was like, oh, I'm not watching that again.
oh yeah, I saw it. I saw it a couple of times because I'm just kind of numb to yeah and
But
yeah.
anyway,
But
kudos to England for moving on to the next
yep,
round.
yep.
A team that
Now
everyone
you got
loves to
Norway.
hate, getting closer to coming home.
Yeah,
But yes, Norway's
yeah,
in the
and
way
I
next.
love talking trash about England, but I like England.
I mean, we
Because we
follow the
watch the
Premier
Premier League
League.
so much, and I do want them to do well because they do deserve it. And now they are actually playing like a team to, and they were slow because in the
They
group
put in
stages,
a hell of a
yeah,
performance. They gave it
yeah,
all as well. So
they've
yes,
turned it up. So they've gone from slow group play to now being what you're supposed to be,
and that
and where
is
we
a
can caveat
perfect
to,
save
yeah.
segue into the embarrassment, disappointment, sad, and just unfortunate ending to what began as an amazing feeling, thrill, ride for us as Americans is our
I wish I could
national.
have B Rabbit right now to roast the hell out of them because it was just disgusting.
So as we watched last night, and I'm kind of glad we didn't record post
I wasn't
game
going to.
because
I
I think it's been hard. I take these, like I said, at the beginning, I take these games super hard. I'm a super fan. We've followed the U.S. team
yeah,
since we were middle
kids
school.
against
Like
our own parents' home country,
yeah,
Guatemala. I was the one kid
we
in
fight
the stands
against.
in D.C. when Kobe Jones scored a goal against Guatemala in a stadium full of Guatemalans. I was the only one cheering, and I turned around, looked like I was about to get murdered since I was a kid. So I'm huge U.S.
Even in
fans.
our own group of friends who also root for the U.S., but only as a secondary team because they root for their Portugals, their
Colombia or
Colombias,
Portugal, yeah.
and
Other than our friend Matt,
we are
Monica.
diehards. We're not American outlaws per se because that's a different
I
type
can't
of
get to the game anymore too. And
that's a different type of fan. Like those are fans that are there to sing and then I'm
yeah,
not opposed to it, but we truly watch these games with kind of a little bit more
dissection to dissect it
because we have a want for this team to
to be
be
students, yeah, to be
successful,
students of the game.
and we won't shy away from saying this was bad. Like this was really bad. We had a
This was
great start to a World Cup. We had some, and there's a couple things to this conversation, right? The Balogun situation, of course, and then the intervention of politics in the game to cause maybe some of this shitstorm that happened to maybe why these players came out and just played like shit. Or I mean, also got to give kudos to Belgium for the Rui Diaz for making that crazy bold decision to leave Lukaku, De Bruyne, and Doku on the bench and said, "Hey, I'm gonna beat you at your game. I'm gonna go with athleticism. I'm gonna punch you in the mouth the same way you did to Paraguay." But we'll start kind of in piece all
And
as
I
much
want to
as we
say
can. So
probably, and I want to say on the next podcast, we probably will do a U.S. only, just so we can talk about the U.S. system as a whole. I think we really need to talk about it after this. Well, maybe not after this because we still got World Cup going on.
Yeah, well,
Once the
post
Cup's
World
done,
Cup, it'll be something
yeah,
that we
we
could
got
talk
we got to
about
talk
more.
about
Yeah.
it because it's a lot. But yeah,
What do you want to start with? Because there's so
yeah.
much.
Well, honestly, we need to start with Pulisic. This was his game especially the last couple games. He showed up. He was the Pulisic that we've been wanting and we've been expecting. Um, and he was the Pulisic that even you had said he's better than Donovan at this point. Before, obviously, right? You had said it because of his potential, because of what he's doing in the world, which is understandable, which is fine. Yeah,
I'll
backtrack now.
say what I've said. I'm not gonna, I'm not shying away from my opinion. So from the moment Pulisic came out at 17 years old at Dortmund, I've been following. I've said especially after the
I have
failure
a
of
Christian Pulisic jersey right now.
failure of 2018, and then what he did during all those nation leagues to bring us, like, to balance out CONCACAF, right? Because Mexico had taken over or he had kind of brought back to the conversation U.S. being the dominant power of CONCACAF.
Yeah.
At that point, I made a statement, a very bold statement that said, "This is the best player the U.S. has ever had." I've said that to everyone. I've preached it, and man, he made me eat my words. I understand that there was an injury, post first game, and I'm not making an excuse at all. Like, this was shit, and obviously he had a terrible game. But go ahead.
Yeah, from the start. And I was listening to Andres Cantor because I like listening to it in Spanish. To me, it's just way more excitement. I know in English, it's not that they're analytical, and so they're too analytical. And I like my when I watch my games, I like the excitement. I love to hear the screams. I love to hear the
emotion.
craziness of the emotion, even if it's going out for a throw-in, but the emotion of it. And Andres Cantor has been around for a long time, and he knows ball. And he was calling it from the beginning. He's like something's off with him. And from the beginning he's like there's his first touch, but something's off. And he's not, and he wasn't wrong, because if something's off with him, maybe injury wise, then then he needs to, as I feel like you need to think of your team, you need to think of the badge versus the name on the back. If you felt like you were off, then you need to come off. Be like, hey, like, I don't, if people can shit on me if they want to, but I'm gonna come off because I'm just gonna be in the way.
The stat 11.
Yeah, he lost what?
11 unsuccessful, or he got the ball taken away from 11 times.
Yeah, I think 11 times.
11
absolutely.
out of 11. Yeah.
So if this was the game for you to
make a statement, be the
guy, for you to drop the ball, this is the last game you ever want to do. This is where you're going to go out and you are going to get injured because you're playing, because you're playing your ass off. He obviously did wind up getting injured, but not because he was playing his ass off. He went on a tackle. Yeah, it was unfortunate. Took him out of the game, but just an abysmal performance. We needed him to be Donovan. We needed him to be to step up. Yeah, to when it mattered most to show up. So that's where I want to start with, because he is our captain. He is, I don't care if people are going to say unfair criticism because the team played bad, and it doesn't matter because it starts with you. You are the game changer, and you influence the game. You dictate the game, and he obviously didn't do it, and obviously it showed. Just an abysmal performance. And especially given that he showed signs of life in the group stages and then against Bosnia. So we were like, okay, cool. We got Pulley back after everything that had the controversy going on. Yeah, so it's just like, cool, we got him back. This is the kid that we expect. This is the kid that we can say is better than Donovan. And if he's not, well, we can put him at that level. And it wasn't. He was far from it. Far from it.
Yeah, and I will say too, like, there's always been this conversation around, like, he's the captain on the field, right? He's the guy that everyone. He might not be a vocal captain. He's not the guy like a Tyler Adams that's going to give you that dog mentality. Not to say that he doesn't have it, but what he does, the way he captains, is he's always performed and led by example. And he couldn't. And like you said, at this point, if there was something and he didn't tell anybody, and he's playing with something that's going to cause him to be uh, basically a minus player on the field, like that
Hmm.
was just it was selfish.
It's selfish, absolutely.
I get wanting to play for your country and give it your all, and you probably heard so much people say I've played with injuries, and you heard that. But if it was going to be something that really was going to make your team be playing handicap, that's a bad move on his part.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. Um,
and then
but and
and
yeah,
then second part here, post Pulisic. Unless you want to make another point on Pulisic, to
no,
me,
I think it's enough.
it's just we beat ourselves. The U.S. beat themselves. Every goal that Belgium scored was poor defending, mistakes, things that were very preventable, and nothing that Belgium like completely ran over us to say like, oh, there's just nothing we could do about that play, because
Yeah.
the first goal, poor marking, both Alex Freeman, who had a great tournament, and Des, who we'll talk about, both chase the same guy and don't even put in an effort to stop the cross. Like they're so late to it, and early on in the game, like giving up an early goal. That's what we were doing to teams, right? Um, Goal number two, Tim Ream gets caught on a jump on a cross, which I love Tim Ream. I've always loved Tim Ream, but obviously he just couldn't handle that moment. He jumped early, maybe too early, and got beat on a header
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
should have
yeah. Oh
the
yeah.
super
He got dunked
preventable.
on. Same thing. He got dunked on too.
Um, Goal number three, Matt Freeze. What the hell are you doing, dude? Like you're already down two. You stopped the ball. You made a great play, and then you decide to want to play it out. Like okay, and then error number four. He was probably tired, but Chris Richards again. You got two guys on you. Clear the fucking ball. Like both guys. Like just make it like the Matt Freeze one. You're still in the game if you clear the ball. It's 2-1. You still have a chance. At 3-1, the team just died.
The
Like
game's almost over too.
the
But
game
yeah.
just died, and then there was just nothing. And then even after that, only 4 minutes of stoppage time. Like it just
Oh
like
yeah.
every like
There's 3 minutes on a water break. There hasn't been 4 minutes of stoppage time, I think, this whole tournament. And yeah, that was absolutely stupid. But obviously it's not gonna change. But that was absolutely stupid. So yeah, I want to touch on the quick goals. The first goal, I can't even blame Freeman. Yeah, it wasn't a great clearance, and even Dest, but Dest that communication there because Dest waited for it and to see, and then who was McKinney was behind him. Nobody went to the ball. They both just let it go. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if maybe he heard that maybe somebody told him, I'll
I
clear it
don't
or
I
whatever
don't
he said. I don't know because when Des kind of turned around to let it go, it just seemed like I was like what the fuck? Why did he just do that? So that goal, yeah, it made no sense. Where there's no clearance, yeah, Freeman didn't have the greatest clearance, but again, he still pushed the ball to try to get away from danger, and then somebody could have booted it even for a throw in to reset and at least get reset. Cool. First goal. Second goal, that's where obviously we were happy with Reem's performances, but I had said it from the beginning before the tournament. He doesn't have the legs, and he was still running his ass off. But it's still again the your body compared to to a 20-year-old as a defender as a center back, it's not there. But we didn't have another choice. Who else could we have put in? So yeah, the second goal there. The third goal, yeah, absolutely, especially as a goalkeeper. Um, yeah, great play. Phenomenal play to come out and cut that off because that could have been very dangerous. That led to a goal. And instead of and then when he stuttered to boot it out, and then I guess he was gonna try to play it out. No, boot that shit out. I don't care what you are. I don't care. I don't care if you're Manuel Neuer, which you're not. But I don't care what your thought process is at that point, especially if you feel any type of pressure on you. Boot it if it barely goes 5 yards, but it doesn't matter. It's going to go away from that pressure. So absolutely. The fourth goal, yeah, to me, um, yeah, I think is just mentally drained.
tired
Everybody gave up.
legs.
Yeah, everybody gave up, which again is still terrible because again,
It
you
wastes.
never
It's
give
gonna.
up. I don't
I
care.
mean, how much
Yeah,
it's gonna. Goal number three is gonna weigh so heavily on Matt Freeze, Tim Ream's last World Cup.
yeah,
He had a
uh,
chance to kick it out, couldn't. and then
Probably a
and
couple players that may not make it back because they're in there, a couple of Balogun's 28, so Haji, these guys are young, right? 28, so he'll be 32 in the next one. So a couple guys might not make it back.
it just
So this
depends.
was
Yeah, because I
well,
know
Rodon on the bench. That's his last. That's his
Zendejas
last
is
go.
28 too,
Zendejas has
but
28,
he
so
didn't
he'll
even
be
get a sniff.
32. He didn't get a minute. Tim Weah didn't really get in
I
there at
mean, he was
all.
terrible the one game he played. So
Yeah, but again, but it at least changed the game because that game was just abysmal. So yeah, all those goals given, and again, yeah, our goalkeepers, that situation needs to change. That's been always United States one point. It's like we may be shit, um, but we always have at least a good goalkeeper. So we really need to focus. I don't know why we let it go, why we haven't, focused on getting a goalkeeper prepared uh, for the World Cup and bringing him in and saying, and without a doubt, right? Because when Tim Howard came in after, right, Tim Howard, he was virtually a bit of, not that he was unknown, but he was coming in after great goalkeepers. It's like, all right, shoot, is this guy
and he
going to be any
took and
good?
he took that
And
role from Casey Keller. He took that role.
immediate impact, absolutely. So, I at first, I was like, when I saw him taking over for Casey Keller, I didn't like it because Casey Keller is one of my favorite goalkeepers. But without a doubt, Tim Howard for sure also became up there because he is the best American goalkeeper. And that's coming from me. Obviously, my Tony Miola is an idol of
I mean, Brad
mine.
Friedel.
Um, Brad Pitt, absolutely. All those goalkeepers, I looked up to
I
them and
mean,
to become, to be a
even
goalkeeper. I love those
even
guys.
Marcus
But
Hanneman back in the day. I mean,
yeah,
we
Nick
was talking
Raimondo,
about,
I
yeah.
love all those guys. We've always had even our second and third. Brad Guzan, that was Howard's backup. So that's just a huge point. Our center back situation, Chris Richards made a lot of mistakes and he recovered and he fixed it. So to make sure he didn't give up, so he was pushing. And there's that, and it sucks because we're not even going to talk. We can barely going to talk about the players that did put in a valiant effort. Balogun trying to get in, Tillman,
Four players. Well, we can
McKinney
yeah,
always,
can always. But
Tyler Adams.
I best I will maybe not this game, but Tillman for sure this game. McKenny was a little lost, but he was everywhere.
But he was
Yeah, like he puts in an effort every game.
Tyler Adams. I felt was a little reckless.
Alex Freeman to me, like he's been a
Yeah, I love that kid.
revelation. Like
Yeah,
everything he's done, like he has that's his spot, man. There's no one taking that spot from him. I don't care what you tell me. If you're talking about a future with Robinson, so Jedi on the left, Chris Richards in the middle, and Alex Freeman on the right, whoever else we find for the middle, like we have a
best
great
fish on
back
the
line.
outside.
We have a
Yeah,
great back
yeah.
line.
Just
And
need
then
one more piece. Yeah.
yeah, we just need one more to add to. I think we really could have been really good there, if we could have just found the
Carter
one
Vickers,
missing
maybe I
piece.
was injured, so I guess
Yeah.
he had a great season.
We you just hope Trusty kind of gets up there and keeps playing
Developed. Yeah,
well in
yeah,
Celtic. Mark McKenzie, I think he's older, so I don't know.
yeah. I'm not sure.
He really
Yeah,
hasn't won that position,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, and like you said, Tillman in the midfield, McKenny, guys that just gave their all. As we saw after the last game, Tillman with a bloody sock and a hole in his sock because he got stepped on, still scored a banger. Got a goal for us, the only goal this game. And then Berhalter comes in. I think
Yeah,
Berhalter
people
needs to
talk
get
about
a
the
big
MLS
shout
guys.
out for how he comes
Yeah,
in and just he
and he
does
almost scored a banger.
yeah, and he does what he needs to do. And sometimes gives you more because he's a set piece guy that really can hit a good ball in. I don't want Pulisic taking any more corner kicks. Like I hope Berhalter and Adams is the future of that center those
Well,
defensive midfield
Berhalter's
positions.
already, I think, 27 as well, 27,
But
28, so he's
he
not that young.
still might be able to because I think he hasn't played like at the max level and may be able to bring it for a little while
And
longer.
4 years is a big time. I
It
mean,
is,
a
but
lot
at
of a
least
lot of
through
kids can come
but at
out of
least
the woodworks
through
and
World
wonder
Cup
kids.
qualifying, he's going to be a big piece that we're going to be using. So it's 4 years, 2, 3 years he can still give us. Um, in the midfield, Des had the most atrocious game. I love the guy, but wow, and it makes sense why he got subbed out. Gio Reyna, I think he had flashes. He wasn't as bad as people were saying he was. He did have moments. He tried to put that chip pass over
It's
to
hard.
Balogun.
Yeah, it's hard
The game
for
changed when
him
he
to.
came in the second half, and people are not seeing that because Des gave us nothing. Gio was moving the ball around and trying to ping passes to open players which we had a hard time finding in that first half. So yes, he didn't play an amazing game. I'm not gonna say that he was
Yeah.
an outstanding player,
Who
but he
came in
did.
for Pulisic?
Um, uh, uh,
Berhalter? Berhalter? No.
uh,
Jesus.
I
Just
can't
trying to
remember.
think. I can't
Was it
remember.
Pepe came in? Pepe came in because
Oh yeah, Pepe to try to get two strikers. Fair enough. Um, I it sucks. I love Pepe, and I hope he can grow a little more. But yeah, I don't think he should have played because he had a lot of games to try to show. I know he's trying to do too much, but I think Haji deserved a chance to be put in at that situation. Because I think Haji already he knows how to play his game. Pepe, I feel like, is trying to make up or show to prove that he does belong there, where Haji, I think, has his identity. So I think in this game, Haji needed to come in. So
I think there was a lot of opportunity for different things to happen in this game
I
because
feel
not
like
just Haji,
Sendejas,
Sendejas was the clear, obvious choice there to just
yeah,
swap him
again,
out. Like that's
yeah,
why you brought
yeah,
him. You don't bring
yeah.
Luna, who's the
You
other
don't bring
player.
Luna, who's the
Yeah,
little pitbull that you want in this game. In that game, I think that's where you needed Luna, or no, which is fine. Sendejas is a little pitbull as well. Maybe not as aggressive, but he would do the same. So it's just like you have that player there. Why not bring that in to try to influence or to try to wake the game up, to try to get the guys to be like, okay, shit, this guy's pushing the game, this guy's pressing, and this guy's doing what he's waking us up. Cool, give us a chance to go. So I think that yeah, that was a waste of players, and I feel like ultimately disrespectful to Zendejas. And at the same time, cool, you're not gonna play him, then why not take Luna? Which
and I think
uh,
the hardest part of this whole situation with this game, lack of effort. Well,
yeah,
hold on. Let me backtrack that because I hate saying that. I don't like saying that because these guys are professionals who I don't think go in there thinking or ever like not putting in an effort. Belgium had a lot to do with what was happening. So it may have been more that we were not prepared for Belgium's game plan, and I think the team and
Belgium was prepared for our game
yeah,
plan.
and I think Pochettino maybe needed to do something different after that first hydration break. He needed to figure it out, and I don't think he was able to, or he chose not to because he thought maybe this team could turn it around. So I'm not gonna say poor effort. I'm just gonna say poor execution. But it gave us that poor execution gave us the feeling that they did not give
It was
the
just
most that they
hard.
can give as a team that really went all out in the group stage.
It was just hard because seeing Mexico's effort that they gave it everything, um, and it didn't feel like the United States,
Ever got out of
you
first
know,
gears with that's
yeah,
it's just
it pretty much like it's exactly. It's like they couldn't shift gears, and it didn't look even towards the end. Again, that last goal that Lukaku scored because of the turnover, it was a deflated team, right? You didn't even if you're gonna lose 7-0, you go all out, and you give the fans at least you know what? It was a
something to be
terrible
proud about.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a terrible game, but you saw them fight to the very end. We didn't see the fight at all, and that's what it was like. We just didn't see the fight. So yeah, maybe it was
It
like you
felt
said,
like
poor
it felt
performance,
like it
but
felt like we played at the Azteca. That's what it felt like. It felt like
yeah,
the wind was taken
absolutely.
out of our sails.
Yeah,
Like we
yeah. We're
couldn't
playing
handle it.
home. We're playing the West Coast, no humidity, not super hot,
When
and so what
with
more do you want?
with the loudest stadium possible
Yeah,
to have support.
exactly. So yeah, it was just to me, it was absolutely terrible, like I said, and the fact that I have to say that Mexico absolutely like it hurts me to the core to say the Mexico game was the performance from the
Con-
host nations,
CONCACAF.
and yeah, from the host nations, and that we went out embarrassingly, and
We straight up limped out of the World Cup. That's what it looked
yeah,
like.
yeah,
Like
it was like in, what our friend Anthony said. Um, this gives the world or the fans, the people that are now watching the U.S. A taste of what we've been seeing, and it's kind of that what I've said before and I preached before is like, what is going on here? What are we doing? If this is what how we're gonna perform in the World Cup, it's gonna be terrible. And then they gave us a great performances, and I was like, this is what I've been wanting to see, and then it's like kind of like back to reality. And like I said, I'm not even disappointed or because I would have been more sad or upset had they given it all like Mexico and lost on a valiant effort. I would have been sad because they didn't, because they lost, and it would have been probably harder for me to take in than just to see this
I
kind of
was.
like give up.
I'm not gonna lie. I was angry. I was
Yeah.
angry. If
Is
I was
I just
so
numb to
angry.
it. It's just numb to it because it's like this is the U.S. that we've seen. This is the one that we're like what is going on here? Like we might as well give the MLS players a chance because maybe they're gonna at least go balls to the wall and obviously other than a couple players, give it their all and if they leave it, leave blood, sweat, tears, they're gonna leave it all and it didn't feel like this
I
team
saw a
did.
picture someone posted on social media. It's like this was our U.S. team in the past, and it's like Dempsey and McBride with bloody faces. And
Hmm.
not that you the expectation is for a player to go in and break their face every time they play, but man, like just fight it out, like show
Yeah,
heart, show
yeah.
that passion, do what Cabo Verde did, like just like give us that semblance of
Give
like man,
us give us at
my
least
team went for it.
yeah, give us the at least the
It was
uh
such an opportunity too because we lost to them in the friendly prior to
satisfaction.
the
Yeah,
World Cup, and obviously this was our revenge
get
game from
back. Yeah,
2014. There was
and
so
it would have
much
been
there,
yeah.
and we
Leave us with the satisfaction like, hey, we lost,
to a better
but
team.
we know that our team, yeah, but we know that our team gave it, but it was just all mistakes, and then we just couldn't recover. So yeah, it's just yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, kind of my venting of what I had to say about the U.S.'s game because it was just frustrating. Um,
And so everyone like I had we you could talk to your opinion, but I will say because of what happened with the red card suspension being lifted, I did have a thought. As I almost didn't want Ballo to play because I didn't want there to be any sort of
excuse.
smear and excuse to
Yeah.
say that they played with an eligible player. The world already hates us. The U.S. already has a lot of negativity that comes their way, and I almost wanted that as a way for
To shut them down, shut them up
not just
without.
shut them up, but I wanted the performance to be something that people around the world said, "Holy shit, the Americans are here! Like they're ready. They're here for this moment, and they didn't need that bullshit overturning of something that's never happened before to happen." Was I happy to see him play? Sure. Did it matter in the end? No. But in the same vein, like that's where I stood on it. I wanted Fowler to sit. I wanted him to just be like, you know what, this was it. Let's just so that the team doesn't have this distraction. I'll just sit out. Let somebody else start. Give them an opportunity to shine. Let's see if we can put an effort forward. Let's see if we do have the team that can that has what it takes to beat a team like Belgium, another European team. Um, that's what I wanted. I know that's not what the probably the everyone else is like. Fuck it, let's just be the villain. Like whatever.
Yeah, I'll give you my take. Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. I would have been like, roll with it. At this point, cool, the decision's made. Yeah, let's. People are gonna hate us. People are gonna hate the U.S. all the time. They're gonna hate the U.S. soccer. They're gonna hate U.S. soccer because that's the only thing that the world has pretty much in sports over us, right? The Olympics and everything, So it's the only thing that the world has over us. So we're the villains in sports. Um, if
If that's what needed to happen for
if
us,
that's what we win, then that's the conversation. Like you go into, hey, listen, you're gonna hear a lot of hate. You're gonna hear all the shit talking because of what's going on. I don't give a shit. Bring it to him. Bring, be that villain. And then I want, get that ball to Balo. Let him score, and then piss people off even more. You know what I mean? Like go ahead, be that's what they want us to be. Don't be the you don't want to don't be the bigger man because at this point, cool. Whatever happened, it happened. I mean, at the end of the day, from the regulations, from what was being read and everything, it seemed like it was more so FIFA ruling. If there was, obviously a message which shouldn't have happened, but at the end of the day, it was still at least credible where there was verbiage and something the same as Ronaldo having a 3-match suspension before the World Cup, but they suspended that because
because
to
of
let
who he
him play,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So if people want to be pissed off, cool. Then you go ahead and you be like, all right, you already have the target on your back. You already have everybody hating you. Now go pretty much shove it down their throats and be like, well, too bad. What are you gonna do about it? We just won and we took this game and with the guy that shouldn't have been there. Well, so That's my point of view. Because at that point, I'm tired of let's be the bigger man. Fuck that. Let's just go
Yeah,
ahead and
and I will echo something that I heard Thierry Henry say, because I think people got on him because they thought he was defending um, the fact that Balo would play. So again, it shouldn't have never been a red card in the first place. Dude didn't
oh
even
yeah,
see him coming. It's
and
happened
an unfair
six other
review
occasions in other games prior to that game. Not even a card was given. And
the
then
VAR
and
review.
then on top of that, the rule is that they shouldn't be using stills in slow mo to see the play, and they did.
Yep,
So,
yep.
and then we learned later on too that this ref has been in a match fixing scandal in his country.
Bribes.
Um,
Yeah. So
the
you have players. You
Bosnia
have
got no Bosnia got no yellow cards that game. Also, by the way,
yeah.
so there
And
was.
if you watch that game, come on now.
And
So
all to say is that I also was of just like Henri. It's like, yeah, the way they went about it was wrong. They shouldn't have overturned it the way they did. They did it really late. You know, this is something that should have happened 24 hours after the game. They should have been like,
when the U.S.
yeah.
soccer petition.
And it was like, this was an error that was made that should be rectified. I feel like in this game, the refs having so much responsibility should also come out and say, we made an error. This shouldn't have been a red card. Rescind the red card. Because, and that didn't happen. So the process was shit. People who got involved shouldn't be getting involved. Is it great that it happened for us because we got our star player to play? Sure, didn't matter in the end. But I think that just gave motivation to Belgium to really go out and take it to us, which also probably didn't help. I don't know how much of that actually matters, but that's my take. My take is that because of all the noise, I almost would have preferred him not to play. But
Yeah, I get
I
it.
hear the
I
other
get it.
side to you. I hear you saying, you know what, fuck it, let's just go out, let's beat them, let's just shove it down their throats and let them whine about it later. But yeah, I mean, this is a real hard one to kind of watch and bow out on, because so many times we've watched heartbreak in a different way. 2022, we tried to go for it, we couldn't do it. The teams of Dempsey and Donovan, watch them the way they go out. They used to fight. They rarely ever got embarrassed on the way out. And again, we can't make a
They were never
quarterfinals.
questioned in their effort. They
Yeah,
were never
and
questioned
and
on.
again, we don't make at least the quarterfinals, which was our
Well,
best in
probably questioned, but
2002. So disappointment, still a little bit angry from it. Um, we just hope the next 4 years we find a new path, a new way forward. I really
we're
hope,
gonna have a new coach. I'm pretty
I
sure
really
this coach,
hope,
I'm sure, is gone.
I really hope that the U.S. Federation really figures this out, because I think it's about time. I think we've waited long enough now to see, you know, the growth of this game. I think this World Cup is going to really help the game grow in this country, like the '94 World Cup did. I think a lot of kids were able to see this group stage games, and really have like that. Man, I could do that one day. Like I
All
can
right,
be that
and
one
then
day.
well, yeah, and see these other guys that are performing, a hell of a performance. So you know what I mean? Yeah, Holland, Mbappe, Vinny. So even if it's not our guys that give them the influence, but at least these other guys are giving, influencing. I show speed, which kids are, whether you like him, and I know you don't like him, but he is a huge influence, and he's a huge soccer influence. So which is awesome. And kids watch him. So he's at all the games. So obviously these kids are going to be watching the games because of him. So regardless of how it gets there, it's cool. It's awesome to see. Um, and yeah, I hope the future generations get there.
Yeah, the hope for this for all of us, including why we do this podcast, is just like we help in any way, shape, or form. We hope that this helps grow the beautiful game in this country. We love this game. We are very passionate about it. Until the day we die, we're gonna talk, play, play video games. We're gonna do all things soccer, because
I
it's
like
the
card.
yeah, collect cards, stamps, or stickers, excuse me. And it's something that we're very passionate about, and we hope we kind of like, that's what we're doing with this, is like just living with you guys, as for those of you that listen and follow, just that that community of soccer continues to grow, football continues to grow in this country, because it's there. it exists. It's in pockets, and we just hope it continues to build on this. And then hopefully we get another World Cup in our lifetime still, which may still happen. And maybe then we really come out and we have that moment where we can cry for joy and not from pain. And that's what we'll leave it with today. I mean, there's so much more to come. Hopefully, there's a lot of youth players out there for the U.S. that are already becoming shining lights, and hopefully get those opportunities to really build on the momentum that has been sparked. But hopefully, this World Cup. I don't know if you had any final thoughts, but that's just my final thoughts on all this.
No, yeah, just again, the rants that we had, and obviously the way we kind of went off on certain guys. I don't, obviously, I don't, I never got to play that high of a level, but I played, and I know pressure sometimes gets to you, but at this point, you, that's what you get paid to do. Just like, if that was my 9 to 5, um, I don't care what, yeah, nobody's perfect, but there's, situations where they need to understand that this is, they have a talent, they were blessed, to
They're
be able to do what they do.
living our
So
dream.
there's no excuses. There should be no excuses. If you get outplayed, fine, but there should never be an excuse, because obviously what you're doing, what you're getting paid to do, people would give anything for. So, um, yeah, obviously that's we just build up from there, and we'll just continue the rest of the World Cup, coverages and the next few games and see what happens. For those obviously they're still watching and still want to hear about the other games, we'll definitely talk about them
We'll
and see what
continue.
happens.
We'll continue watching the World Cup. I mean, this has been the best World Cup in my lifetime. I know the 2002 was really up there with the Brazils being who they were.
South Africa was
South Africa was
exciting.
exciting too, but this,
Most of it, yeah, but
I think this World
obviously it's
Cup.
here, so I think
I,
it's just a whole nother aura.
oh yeah, just but still, I
I
think a lot
think
of
I
these
think
games have really like made an impression on me. That's what I will say. This
well,
this
I
World
guess
Cup
yeah,
has
because
been really
football's kind of
exciting.
been boring the last few years. Yeah, it hasn't been the same. So I guess this one has changed it a bit. So yeah,
But thank you to those who
well done.
listen, watch, follow. Obviously, we're on all the socials: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Please give us a follow, subscribe, like, share, send it to your friends. If you know someone that's just getting into the game, I think we're a perfect opportunity for them to kind of jump in and learn as much as they can and kind of enjoy with us the way that we enjoy the game. So thank you to everyone that listens. We're going to continue doing this. The World Cup is not over yet. A lot of games to come still. Actually, 6 games left. But with that said, the games are exciting. So please keep watching, keep following, keep listening, and go whatever team you go with. Should be a final fun 6 games of the World Cup.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Oh yeah. Later.
Powered by Riverside.